Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmettlin. I'm Jarmettlin. This is a list of 25 of my least favorite WWE Raw moments. Much like my favorite list, there are obviously more than just 25 of the worst moments, and there are more than 25 of the best moments. And honestly, this is just a list of what I feel deserves to be on there. There is way, way more. We could put all of like the fall of 2013 on this list, and that could take up 25 moments because it was really, really bad. But these are moments sprinkled throughout the years, and yeah, I mean it's very, very close to by the time you guys see this, it will actually probably be past the 11th, which is the official anniversary, 25th anniversary of when Raw started. But just enjoy this list, and I encourage you guys to leave in the comments your least favorite moments or your worst moments or moments that you just wanted to tear your own hair out. I mean, granted, I don't have much hair left anyway, so I really can't tear it out. But anyway, let's get on with the list. Number 25, Santino wins IC Gold in Italy in April of '07. I mean, Santino's character at first wasn't that bad. He was better as a heel, though. I mean, he really was much better as a heel. And of course, they made him a babyface because he was really over. But his heel work in '08 was a whole lot better. However, the reason I'm putting this moment on there is because it made Umaga seem ridiculous. Now, yeah, Lashley interfered. There was a whole bunch of interference and everything, and it wasn't like Umaga was necessarily beaten by a job guy, a guy out of the crowd, out of nowhere. But it just made Umaga look super weak. Like all that build they did for Umaga for like a year, and just by the beginning of 2007, they were starting to cut it down. Mania, they pretty much cut it down. And then this just effectively ended it. Yes, he had another IC title run at one point in 2007, I believe, but he never recaptured that magic. And with Santino, the crowd turned on him instantly. Like shortly after this, the crowd was turning on him instantly. I just didn't care for it because looking back on it, I'm like, wow, this was really shit. Number 24, Vince as the higher power in 1999. I've covered this before. I've covered this before in other videos, so I'm going to be brief. The whole idea of Vince being the higher power was just ridiculous. It was one of the worst booked angles in the history of wrestling, and at least in the history of WWE, because it was a mess. It made no sense. Like, so Vince did all this stuff to get back at Austin, though he was hurting his own family, and it was a mess. I feel almost like Vince was the higher power and made the higher power because they couldn't get another guy to be it. I don't know. They would have been better off picking somebody else. I mean, maybe Jake Roberts, if he could have gotten his personal issues taken care of. A few others would have been nice. Hell, they could have wrestled Raven away from WCW. That I don't know if the fans would have necessarily known, but it would have worked. Anybody would have worked better than Vince, because then it went nowhere, and it's like, it's me, Austin. I mean, it's me, Austin. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty iconic moment and everything. Maybe for all the wrong reasons. But it did lead to some funny jokes. But yeah, it was a pretty shit angle. Number 23, DX mocks the nation. Mainly X-Pac and blackface. I want to say right now that I'm not saying that X-Pac meant to be offensive. He was just put out there to do that, to be Mark Henry in blackface and all that. And DX was just having fun mocking the nation. But no, this was not funny. A white guy in blackface, a white person in blackface, a black person in whiteface. Any of that kind of stuff, mocking another race like that to that point, no. There's a line with ethnic comedy, and that wasn't very good. And also the segment went on way too long. I mean, way too long. It should have been half of the time that it was. But the Nation and DX were in a war, a war on TV and everything. I didn't like it. I just didn't. I thought it was pretty shit. Number 22. I bring back the Authority. Cena's team had officially beaten, thanks to Sting interfering at Survivor Series 2014, knocking out Triple H, putting Ziggler on Rollins. So Ziggler won for Cena's team, and the Authority was effectively gone from TV for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe, I think 5 weeks. And then Cena was the only one that had the power to bring back the Authority, and Rollins kept trying to get him. And then, of course, had Edge down there, down on the ground, and was going to, effectively break his neck. Which, okay, a little dark, but whatever. But Cena, who could have easily done this, and why did no other superstars interfere to try and stop this? I mean, superstars could have surrounded the ring and easily overtaken, the Authority, or what was left of the Authority there, Rollins and his cronies. And then Cena, of course, I bring back the Authority. It was just so bad. It was just so bad. It was just it then brought back the authority was back, and it was stupid. It was just stupid because we didn't want them back on TV. And unfortunately, for a number of years since, we had them on TV. And now we even kind of have that because Stephanie will appear and, sorry, I just don't want Stephanie on my TV or Triple H in an authority position on my TV. He wants to be in NXT, do that kind of stuff, that's fine. But they need to get away from the heel authority figures and this kind of stuff, or have them appear sporadically. Go back to the Jack Tunney, days where he appeared only when big announcements need to be made. Other than that, you have like, okay, we just received word from the GM, the announcers say, or it's like somebody says, I received word from the GM that this match is going to do this, or have them appear. It just stop being messy with this, and this was really, really messy and really, really shit. Number 21, Cena drops shit on Ziggler and AJ Lee. I mean, I know it wasn't actual shit. I know it wasn't, because there's no way they would have been able to get away with that. I know it was just a concoction to make it look like that, but at least I hope to God it wasn't shit. But, it was tasteless. It was like, just after TLC 2012 when AJ Lee had screwed over Cena and Ziggler still had his Money in the Bank briefcase. But just this, no wonder AJ Lee left a couple years after this. I mean, I know that part of that had to do with CM Punk and the lawsuit and all that stuff that was going on, but no wonder AJ Lee left, and AJ Lee felt like she was kind of slighted. I mean, she was, for all the shit booking. I mean, she did the best she could. And nothing wrong with people getting their comeuppance, and heels getting their comeuppance, but this was bad. Number 20, Cole mocks Lawler's dead mom. Now, look, I've been all for making bad jokes and tasteless jokes and stuff like that on Twitter, and I've even made some on my videos. But I'm just a wrestling fan doing this. I'm just a normal guy doing this kind of stuff. WWE's a world, national, worldwide promotion that form of entertainment. Doing this kind of stuff is just not good, especially with their sponsors. And I mean, yes, I'm sure Lawler signed off on it, and Lawler and Cole are friends, and they made it seem like it was, a legit feud. And heel Cole was one of pretty much how I pictured Cole being actually off camera anyway. But the whole feud was ridiculous. I mean, and Cole beating Lawler via DQ at Mania 27 was just one of the reasons why I listed that Mania as one of the worst of all time. But this kind of stuff, I hate it. I hate it because I'm like, that was too far. I'm all for having attitude in it, but it was just bad. It really tasteless. And unfortunately, tasteless stuff is gonna get mentioned a whole lot more. Number 19, the tug-of-war between Brock and Reigns, the go-home show before Mania 31. These two guys, Brock looks like he could whip somebody's ass. Reigns, even though I don't necessarily care for him, looks like he could whip somebody's ass. And they're tug-of-warring with like kids with a toy to end the show. That's how you sold. That's the lasting image before Mania 31. I mean, obviously, I think SmackDown was just like a couple matches and then like access footage and stuff like that because it's before the brand split. But I saw that and I'm like, I'm looking at, actually I think I was watching with one of my best friends at the time. But I remember looking, I'm like, that's how they're ending the go-home show? That doesn't inspire me to watch WrestleMania. I mean, I did, but that didn't inspire me to watch WrestleMania. It made both guys look like jokes. Number 18, Steph and Taker in the Black Wedding. Of course, the night before this Backlash, where to, Stephanie? I mean, meme-worthy stuff and everything, but yeah, various people try to rescue Stephanie, who was kidnapped by The Undertaker, and he was going to marry her, and it was really odd. And this was before the higher power thing, but God. I think, what was it? I think Big Show tried to come out. Big Show, no, it was Shamrock, then Big Show, and then it looked like marriage was about to happen. Glass shatters, Austin comes down, the ever graceful Stone Cold stumbling down the ramp and everything. I mean, he had bad knees and a bad neck. I'm not trying to discount that, but knocks everybody out, including a really hard chair shot on Ron Simmons. And knocks out Viscera on the outside, and of course frees Stephanie. It was such a mess. It was such a goddamn mess. I think Cornette and JR were doing commentary that night, which was pretty cool. But it was just so bad. And number 17, actually, Vince and JR, the Dr. Heine segment. It went on for about 5 years. This is when JR had colon surgery. I believe it was colon surgery, and Vince made sure that JR was going to be okay and he was on the mend, but this is right after JR had been fired in the Raw Homecoming show because he needed colon surgery. And then, okay, fine, and Vince mocking JR, whatever. Vince will allow himself to also be mocked. Maybe him mocking the facials of JR wasn't the best thing, but whatever. It's better than what Ed Ferrara did, that disgusting fuck that he is. But this segment went on way, way, way too long. He kept pulling stuff out of, JR's ass, and of course he found that he had his head up his ass the whole time. If they had done it about 3 minutes and done that, okay. But it went on way too long, or at least it seemed to go on longer than 3 minutes. I don't know. This is just a really bad segment, though. It went on way, way too long, and to me, it just got borderline. It got borderline offensive. But again, Vince did make sure JR was going to be okay, so that's why it's lower on the list than it might have been had Vince been a little meaner. Number 16, Beaver Cleavage. A big reason why Vince Russo, whenever he mentions that his ideas were so great, I point to stuff like Beaver Cleavage that ruined Chaz's career. Of course, he was Chaz, he was headbanger Mosh and everything, and I'm not saying that Mosh would have ever been a world champion. Mosh probably would have barely been an IC champion, but he would have been a nice, serviceable mid-card guy. But this kind of stuff, Beaver Cleavage, and there's no way that Russo didn't come up with this stuff. Russo and Ferrara, one of the two. I'm going to blame Russo for it anyway until I hear otherwise, but the fact that this was greenlit in general, I'm going to blame Vince McMahon too, because it's like this was greenlit. These black and white promos and incestuous shit with Beaver and his woman playing his mother that didn't look like she was, she looked like she was younger than him as opposed to older than him. It was, oh God. This was embarrassing. It pretty much ruined the guy's career. Even when they had the Headbangers return to form for a little bit, I think when Thrasher came back from a knee injury or some kind of injury, I know he had some kind of injury because the Headbangers reformed, it didn't last very long. And then Chaz formed Lowdown with D-Lo and Tiger Ali Singh. This was not good. This was not good. It was really an indictment about Russo not being a very good, creative genius. Number 15, DDP is a stalker. Somebody's been stalking Undertaker's wife and taking pictures and videos of her, and it was DDP, and thus killed any momentum that DDP would ever have in WWE. I'm not saying DDP would have been WWE champion. He was European champion for a little bit. He should have been IC champion or US champion, but just the fact that you should have had DDP versus The Rock. I know Rock nixed it apparently, which is a shame because DDP, WCW's People's Champion versus The Rock, WWE's People's Champion, would have been tremendous. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and he was revealed as a stalker, and then got beat up by Undertaker, and then got pretty much jobbed out for the entirety of his career in WWE, for the entirety of his run in WWE. Which is a shame. He had that little program with Christian, which was fine. That was fine. I'm not saying that DDP should have been a main eventer for his entire run. But by the way, about a year and a half ago, when I was shooting videos in my friend Cassie's house for a little bit, I did a 4-part fantasy booking show of the invasion angle. My way of doing it that would have cost Vince probably about $20 million, but it would have been worth it. I booked DDP and others and a lot better. So I want you give it a look if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out. I think it's in my And the Rest assorted playlist. If not, ask me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description like I always do, and I will try to find the videos and send them to you, and then you can watch the second, third, and fourth part. I did 4 parts, and I really enjoyed doing that. But anyway, the whole point is DDP is the stalker. That just killed it right there. That was just so goddamn bad. It was cool that DDP was on WWE programming again. The last time he was Mania 6 when he drove the pink Cadillac for Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine when they were Rhythm and Blues. Not a fan of Honky Tonk Man. That's fine if other people are, though. But this was such a horrible use of him. Now, number 14, King's Court with Shatner. William Shatner never belonged on WWE TV. He never wanted to be there. I'm surprised his girdle did not snap and his gut didn't fly out. That's why Futurama made fun of it with Zap Brannigan being that, because he was basically pretty much inept like Shatner was. This wasn't good. This wasn't. King tried. King was a good heel, but just this whole thing with Shatner, to me, it went nowhere. And the fact that Shatner inducted Lawler into the Hall of Fame and Lance Russell didn't. Or Jimmy Hart didn't. I mean, Jimmy Hart had some history with him. Bret Hart could have inducted King. A few people could have. And the fact that, frickin' William Shatner, who didn't know jack shit about wrestling, inducted King was ridiculous. Number 13, the Terry Runnels miscarriage angle. I want to make this clear. I have nothing against Terry Runnels. Great in the business as Alexandra York or Marlena or Terry Runnels. Whatever she did, she excelled at it. I'm not knocking her here. But she had an angle here where it was her and Jacqueline that were PMS, Pretty Mean Sisters. Do you get it? Do you get it? And D'Lo Brown was like their bodyguard, sort of, like by kind of accident, because I guess she was pregnant apparently. I don't think he knocked her up. I don't remember everything about this angle, but I remember that it was Ferrara and Russo that booked this thing. And it was terrible. Why would you book somebody being pregnant like this and then, without a way to get out of it? Yes, the whole thing with Lita and Kane, and Lita apparently being pregnant, was maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but at least with that, they had a way to get out of it. Okay, was it tasteless? I mean, I don't think so. I think it was humorous the way they did it. The way they did it with Terry and everything, and the way she lost the baby, just... The doctor was like listening, and it's like, I can't hear the baby's heartbeat. And I'm just like, this was horrible TV. It was horrible TV. It was horrible TV no matter who booked it. Let me make that clear. McMahon clearing this, he's as much of an idiot as anybody else. Because it was unnecessary. It didn't make anybody look good. It didn't draw anything. It was bad. The only thing it did was get on lists like this by wrestling fans that understand that was shit booking. It doesn't matter what anybody did in wrestling that was good. It's like that kind of stuff's going to stick out. It was really, really bad, though. It was, oh God, it made nobody look good. And I felt so bad for Terry, and I felt so bad for Jacqueline, who's a tough woman in the ring. I felt so bad for D'Lo. I mean, I felt bad for anybody in it, except the bookers. I hope the bookers are shamed for it. But anyway, number 12, Jeremy Piven as a Raw guest host. I pretty much am including almost all Raw guest hosts, especially from 2009. Though Hugh Jackman in 2011 was great. But yeah, Summerfest. He called it Summerfest. Piven should have been slapped with a brick for saying that. Now, he may have not been a wrestling fan. Whatever. He wasn't a good actor. Entourage was bullshit as far as I'm concerned. And that's fine if you guys like the show. I don't really care. This is my show. I'm not saying you guys can't like that show. But yeah, Jeremy Piven, he was promoting some movie called The Goods. I think he was like a car salesman or something like that, and it bombed at the box office big time, which, good. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't be allowed to have a career, but the guy's not that funny. To me, he's like Vince Vaughn, but worse, because Vince Vaughn at least achieved some level of success before bombing badly. Piven, just garbage. And I mean, of course, Kathy Lee and Hoda would get on here, ZZ Top. Ozzy I'm not necessarily going to put on here, but yeah, there were a whole lot of people. Al Sharpton, many guest hosts would get on here. Of course, I will get to a particular host or a particular person they used in 2009 pretty soon. But yeah, Jeremy Piven, pretty shit. Number 11, the Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella cheating angle, where I believe they used the same woman. She was supposed to be like a personal trainer or something like that. And she was the same woman that was Claire Lynch, if I remember right. Now, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I think she was. She looked like her, and it was really, really bad, because this was at the time where they weren't having Daniel Bryan wrestle nearly as much because he had neck injuries. Neck and spine injuries, and, concussion issues when he was champion, which is unfortunate. Because had he been able to continue as champion, well, he would have gotten squashed by Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2014 instead of Cena. That would have been unfortunate. But it would have been nice to see Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. This was a really shit angle. I'm just going to move on. Number 10, This Is Your Life with Bayley and Alexa. I felt like I aged about 5 years watching this. Some of the worst acting. It was terrible. It did Alexa no favors. It made Bayley ridiculous. The people playing the boyfriend and the girlfriend were bad. I talked about this in my top 10 least favorite moments in WWE in 2017. So check that out if you want to hear my full rant on it. But the bottom line is this was really, really bad. Number 9, the Paige Charlotte thing about Survivor Series or before Survivor Series. Your little baby brother didn't have much fight in him, did he? Now, look, doesn't matter. They cleared it with. They didn't clear it with Rick, and apparently Reed's mother didn't even know about it, and Charlotte couldn't really speak up on it because she was probably going to lose her spot. WWE, though, that was incredibly tasteless. Because the feud didn't call for it. It wasn't like these women had been feuding for, say, a year. And even if they had, there was no call for that. I mean, Paige did the best she could as being a heel, but it was ridiculous. Charlotte, the uncomfortable nature of it. People were like, whoa. I mean, and nothing wrong with having attitude or more realism in wrestling. I mean, even in the PG environment. But this was bad. This was really, really bad. I mean, this was offensive. They cut it out of video packages because it offended people that badly. And I don't blame people for getting offended. But yeah, it was shit. Number 8, and you guys can have issue with this if you want. Honoring Jimmy Snuka in January of last year. I don't care what Snuka did in his WWE career. And I did a little, video on this right after Snuka died, or a couple of days after he died. Jimmy Snuka killed his girlfriend. By all police reports, by all accounts, killed his girlfriend and got away with it. He was a notorious drug user at the time, abusive, on performance-enhancing drugs, whatever the hell he was on. He did a whole lot. He did a whole lot. He could have done a whole lot in his career, and did to a point. Was one of the most over guys for a number of years. Jimmy Snuka killed his goddamn girlfriend. Now, his daughter, she knew him as dad. Tamina shouldn't have gotten picked on before her dad died, or after her dad died. Leave her alone on that. But Jimmy Snuka should not have been honored like this, especially, and I'm just going to say it, it's like, if they're going to, erase Chris Benoit from history, I don't care if it happened in 2007, there was more media coverage. They shouldn't honor Snuka, no matter what Snuka did. And it's ridiculous that they honored him. I was flat out embarrassed. I was flat out embarrassed by it. Number 7, but I never told anyone until just now. The Bella Revelation stuff, or whatever the hell it was called, Nikki Tells All. I don't actually remember even what the name of this was. It was Nikki, flatly speaking. It was right after she had turned on Brie at SummerSlam. And just, Brie did this and Brie did that. And it was some of the worst TV. The Bella versus Bella feud actually should just go on here as a whole. But these segments in particular were draining. And I'm not a fan of Nikki Bella. I certainly hope that her neck is healed and that she can have a long life. I mean, I don't know if she should come back to wrestling if her neck is still bad. But this Bella versus Bella feud was just so bad. It was just so bad, so terrible. And it wasn't good TV. They put the Bellas back together at Survivor Series 2014. 3 months after that, yet they dragged this on for 3 goddamn months. It was fucking terrible. Number 6, Hornswoggle is Vince's son. Because it should have been Mr. Kennedy. I mean, yeah, Kennedy got busted for a wellness violation and got suspended. Okay. I still say they should have gone with Kennedy anyway and just dragged this thing out a little longer. But they went the comedic route and had Hornswoggle be Vince's son. And yeah, okay. Triple H had some fun pointing at Vince and everything and this kind of stuff and whatever and all this. And that was kind of humorous, but it was bad. It was just so goddamn bad. It was the illegitimate son thing didn't work out. I mean, I almost put Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle illegitimate son thing on here, but I think the Hornswoggle stuff was worse. Because at least with Jason Jordan, there seems to be an end game here. There isn't much of it. There wasn't an end game with Hornswoggle being that. And it's nothing against the guy himself. It was just bad casting. It was bad casting. It was bad stuff. Number 5. I don't care how controversial you guys think this is. This is my list. The Ultimate Warrior Tribute. Now, if Vince and him made up, and if Warrior made up with some of his peers, fine. Not here for me to judge. I don't know if he did or not. I don't know if the cameras are telling the truth or if it was just for fluff. I don't know. But to honor a guy that wished death on Bobby Heenan and wished the cancer would eat away at him was incredibly racist, incredibly homophobic, and an incredibly shit person that never respected the wrestling business, that only did it for the money, that wasn't a good wrestler, that, oh yeah, he drew some serious money. Well, that's because and I'm sorry if you guys are fans of Warrior and you're watching this, because I'm not knocking you guys, I'm really not, but for people to say, oh, he deserved to have his, legacy honored. Okay, you can have that opinion, and that's your opinion. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But I thought that them honoring him, it's funny, they honored him when he had been ripping on the company just a few years before. Now, Triple H and him, Triple H helped mend the fence. Cool. I didn't cry when Warrior died. Was it shocking? Sure, because he was just on Raw and then suddenly he was dead the next day. He did the Hall of Fame speech, appeared at WrestleMania on the stage with all the other Hall of Fame inductees, and then gave that speech on Raw and then was dead the next day. Okay. I don't care. I didn't care one bit when Warrior died. I didn't care. I did not care one bit. Warrior to me did not deserve that tribute. And people can get upset at me all they want. And that's fine. I'm not telling people that they're wrong if they cried when Warrior died. That's fine. We all respect our peers, or we all respect our heroes, and we all have different heroes, and we all have everything and whatever. But that doesn't mean that Warrior deserved to be honored. And I'm getting a little emotional thinking about this because I think about all the wrestlers that should have been honored, and they weren't. But Warrior, the racist, homophobic, worthless piece of shit he was honored. That's pretty damn dumb, in my opinion. I just do not fucking understand it. And I apologize, by the way, if I'm doing this. But I got bad allergies. But yeah, that's my opinion on Warrior. So now, top 4 moments. Some of these might be a little, quick, because I only got about 6 minutes left. Number 4, the old day segment. This aged me by about 20 years. Because it was three black guys dressed up like, New Day from the future. And it was Gallows and Anderson when they were feuding with the New Day. I don't have a problem with comedy. This wasn't comedy and it was bad. And it went on forever. I mean, my God, it went on forever. And it's like, this is what we're doing with Gallows and Anderson. They should have fucking stayed in Japan. I mean, they're probably making more money in WWE, and it's not that New Japan can't pay people. They're probably making more money in WWE, but my God, this kind of stuff was like, okay, they really should have just stayed in Japan. I mean, what the fuck else were they going to do? The old day segment was really shit. Number 3, Triple H fucks a corpse. The Katie Vick angle. I don't believe I did a 15-year reflection on this angle. I thought about it, but it's like, I'm just going to be brief. One of the worst things that I've ever seen. I don't know who creatively came up with it. I mean, I guess Vince did. Vince thought it was funny. The thing is, the Katie Vick angle is one of the worst angles to ever come out in wrestling. I'm including it with the Claire Lynch angle. And, I mean, even though I hold the Claire Lynch angle in high regard because of how it went on forever, the whole fucking the corpse thing was just stupid. Because we knew it wasn't true. I mean, it's like it made Kane look ridiculous, made Triple H look ridiculous. It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. It was terrible TV. One of the most offensive things ever. I mean, what in the world is this? What in the world was this? Like, the whole No Mercy angle went nowhere. It was frustrating. It was frustrating because it was so unnecessary and stupid. Number 2, you know what? The Pillman widow interview is number 2. Because this was the night after Pillman died. Brian Pillman died, unexpectedly. The fact that Vince was interviewing his widow, his wife, his widow, just a day after the death, and the questions he asked. I'm not even going to try and talk, about the questions he asked. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. Now, yes, his widow, Melanie, maybe got heavy into drugs and wasn't the best person, according to if you talk to one of the oldest kids and listen to interviews there. But that being said, you're still talking to the widow the widow whose husband just died. And it was tasteless. It was so unbelievably tasteless. And I cannot believe that they did this. I mean, it's like, it would have been one thing. I mean, and I'm sure maybe she signed off on it and it's like, are you okay with doing this on TV? All right, but still, it was embarrassing. 100% embarrassing. Number one, I don't really give a shit if people think this is a top moment or not. Donald Trump running Raw. Now, yeah, it didn't last very long. I think it was like, what, 2 weeks? But Vince talking to Donald Trump, and this quote holds true today. You might have the support of 95% of this audience, or you might have the support of the people, but 95% of them are idiots, or something like that. The whole point is the quote still holds true for how Donald Trump is today. And I don't fucking care if anybody wants to get upset. I'm not going to try to get political, but that's what I'm going to stand by. But Donald Trump being on Raw, I know Donald Trump and Vince are friends, and I'm not shocked that it happened, but it's like the fact that it happened, it was bad TV. And Trump running Raw, and he shouldn't have been running it. It wasn't good TV. The summer of 2009 should have been really good given the feuds that they had and given the great wrestling that they had. And it wasn't. Summer of 2009, you look back on it, there was some really stupid shit. Like the guest host thing and all that stuff. But Donald Trump running Raw, the reason it's the worst moment is it was painfully unnecessary, painfully awkward. And the fact that Trump didn't get beat up, and he should have been beat up for being the piece of dog shit that he is, and I'll fight anybody if they disagree on this, it was just bad. Like, what the fuck was the goddamn point of it? So yeah, I mean, many people may say it's a controversial choice or whatever, that maybe I should have flipped 1 and 2. Nope, I decided to put Donald Trump there because Donald Trump is shit. A shit person, a worthless human being, and somebody that idiots voted in. And yeah, okay, so maybe it's a little skewered, but looking at strictly wrestling, it was bad. It wasn't good TV. It didn't pop ratings. It was pointless. It was dog shit. Anyway, that's what I gotta say. Those are my 25 least favorite Raw moments. What are yours? Leave them in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Also, it's been Real Honesty with Jar Mitlin. I'm Jar Mitlin, and I will see you soon.